Hello, my friends. How are you? Hiker Dave. Whoops. Hiker Dave here. Still learning the buttons on my gimbal. I hope everyone's doing well. Beautiful day here. It just rained. Nice, cool breeze. I was out here last week, whatever. I forget what day. I'm back at that place, guys, where this is that same forested area where I had that thing happen. I wanted to, like riding a bike, right? When you fall off the bike, you want to get right back on it. And I'm out here solo hiking again. And I got to tell you guys this story that I heard. Very interesting story about Jordan Ryder. He's from New Mexico. Now, this took place in 2018. He wanted to go camping in Minnesota. Now, his mom was very aware that he loved to do this. At times, he would take off for weeks at a time and go camping. And I had to write a couple of details down, so please forgive me. I don't have my laptop in front of me or anything. Here's just a few notes that I do, and I just kind of read off the notes just so I get pretty much the dates correct. So Jordan was 29 years old, from New Mexico, and he was hiking in the Canoe Area Wilderness. I should say camping in the Canoe Area Wilderness in Minnesota. And a Forest Service agent had come across, this was early October, had come across a truck blocking a gate, a private road. And that private road, now this I have written down, the name of this private road was Devil Cascade. Interesting when things have the devil in the name, don't you think? So now, again, early 2018. So, and his parents had received a text from Jordan, two of them. The first text was a picture of a beaver pond, and that was on the 8th. And then on October 9th, he texted, I think it was a list of like certain food that he had brought out there, beans and rice and stuff like that. And he was just kind of keeping his family updated on what he had for supplies. Hey, Bear. So I guess now Jordan had, this is what I had heard, extreme, I wanted to give credit where I heard this story from before I go any further to make sure I give credit where it's due. I got this from the YouTube channel, The Lore Lodge. Aiden, his name is. Great channel. That's where I actually heard this story, and he goes into a lot of detail, but I'm just kind of giving you guys an overview. And from what I remember from the story, while actually going on a hike, I wanted to come out here and kind of I feel comfortable out here right now. I'm enjoying it. All right, so I guess in late October 2018, there was a welfare check that was requested. Now, it's not clear who requested this welfare check, whether it was his mom or a family member or a friend. I couldn't find any of that. But the welfare check was requested, and that was late October. Now, I have to back up a bit because early October, I don't know if I said this yet or not, a Forest Service agent found Jordan's truck. I did, blocking that trail. It was I just wanted to give you the year of it. It was a 1995 white Chevy 2500. And they ended up moving his truck because they got in touch with his mom, and she had explained, yes, Jordan does this from time to time. He'll just disappear for a couple of weeks, but he left an itinerary with his mom and confirmed to the Forest Service that, yes, that's my son's truck. He's out there camping. And then again, on the 22nd, there was a welfare check. Well, they went to try to find Jordan and his campsite, and they were unable to. So it wasn't until 6 months later that a baseball cap was found in the woods. And not far from said baseball cap was a campsite. Now, this campsite had a ridge line that was a rope or a line tied from one tree to another with a tarp draped over it, which was kind of acting as a tent. And underneath this tent was a hammock. Inside the hammock was a sleeping bag with, blankets, pillow. Underneath the hammock were just other supplies. There was a bag of toiletries, other bags with clothing, and just the stuff you would need to stay out an extended camp like that. I love this X. Also found was a Beretta 9mm that was loaded. It had 12 rounds in the magazine, which is a little bit odd because the Beretta, that model, takes 15 rounds, and there was only 12. Now, also wanted to mention that there were no shell casings found anywhere around his camp. And so that I just found that odd that it was missing 3 rounds, which, if you, and the safety was engaged on the firearm. But they did not find Jordan. So the authorities decided, let's wait until the thaw. This was in early April. Late March, early April, when they found the hat in the campsite. But they did not have to wait long because the snow melted at the right towards the end of April, and they were able to get out there. Now, also when they found the campsite, there was a lot of blood that was inside the hammock. There was a lot of blood inside the sleeping bag. Hey, Bear. And there was blood splattered on the on the top, which was like the makeshift tent that was covering the hammock. Now, which that's strange in itself. Now you've got a missing hiker and a campsite that looks like something terrible has happened. So, of course, questions, the authorities are wondering, where did he go? What happened here? So it wasn't much after that where they did find, hey, Bear, I believe it was April 5th, right around there, 2019. Remember, it took 6 months by the time they found his truck and was reported for the welfare check. 6 months, they didn't find anything until the hat and then subsequently the campsite. Let's see, I have to refer to my notes because I want to it's important for me to get the dates right. Just saying. Okay, so they did, unfortunately, find remains. And by 2020, it was, August of 2020, because it not only that inside at his campsite, they did find his wallet. They found his driver's license. He had some money, credit cards. So they knew that was Jordan's campsite. And they were pretty sure that the remains, hey Bear, the remains that they found, they were in fact from DNA. It was Jordan. Like I said, they found that out through the DNA process. So now the questions come up. There's a handful of ways that this person could have perished. And it's where he was very remote. It was kind of in the middle of nowhere, in a rough terrain area. Although it was said by one of the authorities that, believe it or not, there was a trail like 4,500 feet away, but his where he camped, he kind of strategically picked it where you're not going to just stumble across his campsite. He picked it pretty well hidden. So now you have to ask yourself, was there foul play involved? Now, that's something somebody could have did something while he was sleeping in his hammock. Was it an animal attack? That the area is known. They do have black bear in that area. They have wolves. I don't know about mountain lion, but that is absolutely a possibility. I don't know. I got to look into that. If there's, I'm not positive on that, but I know that there are wolves and black bear. Did he self-delete himself? Was he depressed? And maybe that he decided to not be there anymore? Or was it an accident, a tragic, hey bear, was it just a tragic accident? So now, so if you go through the possibilities, right, and we'll start with, let's start with foul play, right? So maybe some bad actors found his campsite. So I guess on the 10th of October, when he first went camping there, I guess it was the 10th of October, he had a receipt for a Walmart, I think, or a store. I think it was a Walmart, but don't quote me. Is it possible that he set up his campsite and then once, maybe he was kind of talking to the person at the register or bumped into someone and they were just chatting and he divulged where he was staying and maybe somebody meant him harm? That is a possibility. Now, if you go to maybe the animal attack, that is without a doubt a possibility. Was he maybe attacked by a bear in his sleep? Was he, which is kind of far-fetched. I guess black bear are not really known to kind of attack like that. And there are no brown bear. I believe in that. In that part of the country, I don't think there's brown bear. Just like here where I am in New Hampshire, there's really not known to have brown bear. And then wolves. Did he get attacked by a pack of wolves? Now, that's kind of hard to believe, seeing that when his campsite was discovered, the tarp wasn't ripped. The sleeping bag was not ripped. The hammock was not ripped. You'd think that if a pack of wolves attacked Jordan in the middle of the night, he was armed. The gun that he had was ready to rock and roll. But there would be rips. You would think that the claws, teeth, a struggle, a fight, that maybe, you would see signs of a struggle. You'd see tears and rips and such, I would think anyways. So next on the list, let's see. So if it's not a bear or a mountain lion attack, could it have been a tragic accident? Would be pretty much the last thing on the list. If it wasn't human, that he was attacked by someone that was up to no good. It wasn't an animal attack. He didn't self-delete himself. Then was it a tragic accident? So his mom did say that he was known to shave himself with a military folding knife. That's a quote. And that he kept his knives extremely sharp, very, very sharp, which I can attest. I love knives, and I keep my knives very, very, very sharp just because. And I love the act of sharpening. It's just fun. I use a whetstone. So is it possible that he was shaving? Now, and maybe he nicked his jugular vein or something like that, a carotid artery. What am I seeing over there? Hey, Bear. It is possible, right, that he nicked a vein. Also, his mother said that he loved to whittle, that he was a huge fan of whittling wood, and which is something I like doing that as well. I love woodworking and that kind of thing, and I like carving and stuff. But he was known to do that as well. Now, here's the issue with the accidental shaving and cutting yourself and bleeding out. So some of the items that were found at his campsite or strewn about were strips of cloth, green strips of cloth, like a rag, and you'd rip strips from it. So let's say he cut himself and he cut these strips up to help with the bleeding, to help stop the bleeding. Well, the strips that were recovered at his campsite or about around his campsite, there was not a drop of blood on any of those strips, nor was there blood on any of the knives. And he had a roll out, like a set, like you roll it out, you know, like a butcher would have his knives. Like I use that for paintbrushes, where it's just a piece of cloth with little pockets, and you kind of lay out the paintbrush, then you roll it up into like a little bundle. Well, he had that same setup with knives, but not one knife had a drop of blood on them. So if, say he did cut himself accidentally shaving or whittling, but there was no wood whittled at the site, so that most likely didn't happen, you would think that there would be some blood on a knife or on a piece of that green cloth, but no. So you're saying that if you want to use that as the cause, if he had cut himself, would he instantly cut those strips, and then as he's bleeding, clean the knife, put the knife away into wherever his home was with the rest of his knives, and neatly put that away? I think that's far-fetched. I just don't see it. Now, also, there was a beaver pond nearby his camp. If I was going to shave, I would take whatever implement I was going to use to shave. I'd go down to the pond and I would use my reflection. And this is something that Aiden said in his video. This is not my original thought. I just want to make that clear. I'm not stealing from anybody. But it makes a lot of sense that he said that. You could use the reflection in the water as almost like a mirror. And you could clean the knife off as you shave. Makes sense. But there was no indication that he had done that. Hey, Bear. So I wanted to share that with you guys because I think it's very interesting, this whole story and this mystery of, yes, they found his remains. And I guess his sister mentioned they could tell that there was only one fire that had been lit. The first night he was there, he lit a fire and ate one meal. It appears that whatever happened, hey, Bear, whatever happened to Jordan, it seems as though it happened that very same night, or the next day that he was there. So one night he had a fire, made something to eat, and then whatever happened to him, it seems as though it might have happened that night. So I don't think he got to spend a lot of time in this, where he was camping. Really interesting story. You guys, you gotta, to get really the real nitty gritty and details of this story, check out the Lore Lodge. Now, Aiden doesn't know who I am, and I'm not looking for credit, but his channel is great. Like, he goes into incredible detail, as well as Nick from The Missing Enigma. He does great. He's like boots on the ground. He's like a pit bull. Once he gets a story that he wants to talk about, he goes boots on the ground. He'll travel across the country and go to the place where the person is missing and stand in the spot where they were last seen or something like that. I mean, I give him so much credit for that. That's the way to do it, but it's tough. I mean, I'm not going to travel to Minnesota. So I kind of just do like a background story, or, I don't know the word, but I don't know all the details, but I got the ball rolling for you guys. If you like or are interested in this story of Jordan Grider, you go to either the Missing Enigma or the Lore Lodge, and you'll get fantastic details. Man, I just do love this X. I mean, it doesn't get any more plain and obvious than that, but I do want to mention before I go, I do hope you guys enjoyed that. Oh, I hate saying that. Enjoy the story of poor Jordan who passed away. I don't mean it that way. I hope you found that interesting, is how I should put that. And I want to just go back for a second and talk about what happened to me out here a few days back. I refuse to say that I was pushed by Bigfoot. I won't. It had to be something else. So someone commented and said, Dave, is it possible that you had, hey Bear, is it possible that you had a spasm, a violent muscle spasm? Yes, that is absolutely a possibility. I've had spasms before. I've had muscle spasms in my back. I've had muscle spasms on my calf, on both legs, actually. I've had them in my abdomen. So it's happened. I've had muscle spasms in the past. Is that what explains what happened to me? I don't know. I can't say. It is possible. I don't want to, I know that I kind of hinted towards that it was Sasquatch related. But that's like, I was hunting on Gary's back 40 once, and we potentially, I captured a juvenile Sasquatch on video when I was making a video out in his back 40. I mean, me and Gary, to this day, we think that that's what we captured on video, but I can't make a video and come out and say, I did it. I captured a juvenile on video. I can't do that. I didn't even see it, and neither did Gary. He didn't see it in real time, and neither did I. Did not lay eyes on it. It was pointed out to me by somebody else that made Gary aware of it, who in turn texted me. I was working at a nuclear power plant at the time, and I was texted. I'm like, you're kidding me. So we went back and looked at it, and we were amazed. We're like, no way, look at that. But I didn't make a video and say, yes, Hiker Dave finally captures video of Sasquatch, because I don't know. Me and Gary can say it to each other, but I'm not going to make a video declaring it. And this is very similar in this case here with what happened to me a few days ago out here. I can't just come out and definitively say that, yes, Sasquatch pushed me. I tell you right now, it certainly felt like it, but I have to go with what makes more sense, what seems more rational, right? And it is rational to think that I had a muscle, that I had a muscle spasm, and it caused me to drop my gimbal. It might have jolted me to a point where my hat came off. I have to do it that way, guys. Like, I honestly, sincerely do not want it to be that. I don't want it to be what is a possibility, that I got a little how do you do from the big guy, and he gave me a little shove, just to remind me that, hey, listen, if I wanted to, I could do some serious damage, but I don't, because etc. So I just wanted to make that clear. Gary is coming down. I say down because he lives up north, an hour from me, further north in New Hampshire. And we're going to do some hiking. We're going to go to the other side of McCabe Forest, where I am. And I want to document some more tree breaks over there on that side, on the other side of the river. I'd love to have somebody with me. Gary said, yep, let's do it. He just wants to check it out and see where I had that incident. And so I'm looking forward to that. Today's Friday, and we made plans for Sunday. So he's going to come down my way. We'll go for a nice hike. And there was a couple of commenters who said, Dave, you know what you should do? You should document the width of the trees, the ones that are broken. I mean, I'm documenting everything else. I'm doing the height of the break, the direction of the break, and I think it makes sense. And thank you to the people that commented that. That's what I'm going to do from now on. I'm going to add the width of the tree that is broken to my data. And I don't see anything wrong with that. All that's going to do is just add information. And I think at some point, someday, the information I'm gathering, I think it may be important. And I might be able to use this very information to answer the multiple questions there are about Sasquatch. Maybe it will help. Who knows? Hey, bear. Well, that's that, guys. I really do appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate your comments. I just wanted to touch on really quick, really briefly, about a couple of negative comments. I don't care, but I leave them up for 24 hours or somewhere therein, like 24 hours or so a day. And then I delete them. I don't block the person that sent the nasty comment or whatever comment it is. I leave it up. But the reason why I would leave it there permanently, but when I reply to comments, when in the morning, when I look at the comments, there's a section that says unread. Well, if it's a negative comment, I don't respond. I don't give it a thumbs down. I don't say anything negative back. I just skip it. But if I don't delete it, those are going to build up, and I'm going to have a big list of comments that I haven't replied to, and it'll just confuse me. And on top of that, I don't feel like reading negative comments every time I go to respond. Anyways, thank you guys so much for clicking. I hope I told that story about Jordan Grider in a way that makes sense. Most of it just going by memory, other than dates and such. But yeah, man, it's what a intriguing. How did that happen? What happened to him? You know. All right, guys. Thank you so much for clicking. I definitely really do appreciate it. And I will see you on the next one.